Good afternoon, everyone. I know you haven't seen my face for a while, and I'll explain why. About 3 weeks ago, it's not quite 3 weeks at this point, uh, I injured my back doing exercises. I was reaching down to touch my toes, and evidently something went wrong in my back, and I had to go to ER. I'm still not completely recovered, but I am able to move around a little bit. I'm trying to regain my stamina so that I can start doing YouTube videos for you again. Now, I know that you've seen me post 2 or 3 videos lately that really don't pertain to country living or woodworking. I did those videos for another business that I'm getting ready to launch. It's actually launched now. It's called Return Solutions, and it's an accounting and finance program, but that has nothing to do with my viewers that are more interested in me using my hands and making wooden objects. So with that being said, I will take the Return Solutions and start another YouTube page so that I can separate the two. I believe that's in my best interest. I am looking forward to my back clearing up completely for a few different reasons. One, I've been pretty much confined to a recliner, and after sleeping in a recliner for almost 3 weeks, that gets old. And I've tried to lay down in the bed a couple times, but I aggravated the back and I got those spiking, shooting pains. And to be quite honest with you, I'm half afraid to even lay down in a bed. So I'll sleep in the recliner for a few more nights, and hopefully I'm going to get to the point where I can lay down in bed. Now, we need some more content for this video. So let me talk about country living, since that does pertain to my channel. I'm 70 years old, so obviously I've been around for a little while. And during those 70 years, I'll briefly go through some of the things that I've done during those 70 years. It started out at age 12, baling hay for the local farmers. And then I went to the amusement park in Columbus and got a job there for the next 3 years as a ride operator. From there, I enlisted in the U.S. Army for 6 years. While in the Army, I served as a correctional guard, and I served as a tank commander. After the Army, I went to work for the state of Ohio Department of Corrections, and I spent roughly 3 or a little over 3 years there. And in the early 80s, they built a Honda automobile manufacturing plant in my town. So I applied for a job there. I worked there for, I think it was 8 years. Yeah, it was 8 years. And I did well there. I went from an assembly line worker all the way up to a production coordinator, which is a salary job. And I was in charge of export shipping, all the cars that were being shipped overseas. So I held a very valuable position. And then along comes a divorce that got ugly, unfortunately, and it ended up costing me that job. So that's the history of me and the knowledge that I have in my head. But my passion has always been working with wood. And when my parents both passed away, my dad first, and then maybe 15 years later, my mom passed. And I ended up buying the house and the buildings out of the estate. And that's where I put together this pole barn here. My dad and I built it in 1973. It was still an empty shell when I purchased this property a few years back. And I went in and I completely rehabbed it and turned it into the woodworking shop that you see me in now. As far as tools, I've been collecting tools my entire life. So I did already have a lot of tools. Sometimes I think, you know, I could be a handyman. I got all the tools I need to be a handyman. But I'm going to be honest with you. I really like being home, if that makes sense. So my automotive repair shop, which is what I'm doing after Honda, by the way. I forgot that. I've been doing that for 30 some years, and I reached a point where my son had grown up. He had went to college, got a 4-year degree in business, and ended up with a job driving for Amazon. So that whole college education didn't benefit him much. So I hired my son to take my job over, which was all the financials, the banking, the payroll, and just taking care of the little odds and ends that pop up in a day's time. My spouse, I hired her, it's probably 6-7 years ago, and she's the service writer. And my oldest son, his name's Joe, he is an excellent mechanic. He's in his early 40s, so he's got pushing 25 years experience with automotive. And I'm not bragging or anything, but he's a real good tech, and he can produce well enough that I don't have to have 2 employees. He manages to keep up with everything. So what's my future plans? I'll talk a little bit about Return Solutions. While doing this automotive repair business, I developed systems that I used spreadsheets with. And every time I looked at one of those spreadsheets, I would say, man, if this was a program, I could get rich. Well, fortunately, through a mutual friend, I hooked up with a retired professor down in Cincinnati, and he had the ability to write programs. So over the last 9 years, him and I have been working on this program and perfecting it. And it's done. I just got done doing marketing with it a few minutes ago. I'm doing social media marketing. It's on the market. When it takes off, it'll be an automobile shop owner's software program that will be paid monthly. So basically what happens is the more people that sign up for this program, the more income I'll generate. But to give you an example of the potential, with just 400 customers, or really about 450, somewhere in there, we'll generate over $40,000 a month. So I'm actually excited. So that business is something that I'm doing in my spare time, besides working on wood and making YouTube videos. The other project I have going on is called ERN, Emergency Response Number. So basically what that means, and by the way, I partnered with a firefighter, and we do have a patent on this idea. But the idea is that your mailbox sign where you have your number on there would be illuminated with high intensity LED lights, and you would have the ability to command it on for a police matter, a fire matter, a medical emergency, and a pizza delivery. I know that's kind of a joke, but it can be used for that. Not only pizza, but maybe you got a service truck coming out to work on your furnace. It can be used for that. So the concept is that the light illuminates in red for fire and emergency squad, blue for police, and then two other colors that you can use for the pizza deliveries and so on. So what's the purpose behind it? Okay, so I live in a rural area, and let's say the squad turns on my road, and my road's a couple miles long. As soon as they turn on my road, they'll see a red beacon coming from the mailbox sign. And that's going to increase the time, because they don't have to be looking at their GPS and trying to figure out where the house is, or is it on the right side of the road or the left side of the road and all that. They just look for the red beacon, they go straight there, and it increases response time. So that's in the works. So and plus my YouTube channel, I put a lot of time into that. So I, at my age, have done a lot in my lifetime, and so haven't you, don't get me wrong, but we all have our own personal story. And that's mine, what you just heard there. And of course, I could go into great detail on a lot of things. Matter of fact, if you want me to go into more detail about any of this, put it in the comments. I would appreciate it. If you're already subscribed, thank you for supporting me and bearing with me through these medical problems I have a tendency to go through. And hit that like button. And by doing so, you're going to increase my presence on YouTube, which will help me grow. So with that being said, I think I'm going to end off the video now. I'm looking forward to your comments, and you have a great day. Thank you.